Hi, so my name is Rachel Martin, and I'm the volunteer coordinator at the Gateway of Hope, the Salvation Army Gateway of Hope. And we are a shelter. So we provide housing for people who find themselves without housing, whatever the reason. We mainly, our main function is housing, but that is broken down into kind of three things as well. So for anyone that comes to us and say, hey, I need a place to stay, we have our emergency housing for that, which is temporary, around 3 months. And then we have a relief shelter, which is doesn't have a time limit, but the difference is they get housing, but it's only for the night. So it's somewhere to sleep at night, basically. During the daytime, they have to leave. Another housing we provide is what we call our transitional housing, which is for people who are like sober and who are trying to reestablish their life. And that is a 2-year program. And there's some requirements for that. You have to apply for that. So overall, we try to allow people to have a space where they're able to figure out what it is that they want to do for their next step. So if someone's struggling with addiction or mental health, we having a place where you are safe to sleep, where you can have shelter and food is necessary to kind of take you out of that crisis mode, and then you can figure out what it is that you want to do. So we have that available to our guests. Within that, guests also can have meals. They have 3 meals a day. We also have a community meal, which is a big part of it, providing food for people. So between 12:30 and 1:30, anyone in the community can have a meal with us 7 days a week. And then we have our family services. So the guests that stay with us are usually adult, male or female, single or couples, but we don't have families with kids stay with us, but we do help them through our family services. So we do, like right now, we just finished our backpack program, and we give out backpacks with school supplies. We do a kids camp for the summer for kids as well, or families need clothing or houseware, or cookware, whatever, we give them vouchers to our thrift store so they can get that. So we try to support them through that way. We have an emergency food hamper. So basically that's the extent of all the things that kind of happen here at Gateway. So in terms of practicum students, they're considered volunteers. So we want to kind of say that they're considered volunteers. So depending on how long their program is. So if someone is doing a longer practicum, they get to have a more in-depth experience because they work actually directly under the residential services manager. There's kind of protocols that they get access to certain things, but generally for the people that are doing like shorter practicums, they're considered volunteers, but we cater their program to allow them to have more insight into what happens if you are a shelter worker or working in that type of environment. So they'll do it in 2 of our fields with our meal center where we feed people and getting that experience. And then they would do it in our shelter department where they get more direct interaction with the clients and working with the shelter staff to see what that entails. How do you support the shelter guests? How do you help them to get next steps, doing casework and things like that? Due to some privacy stuff, there are limitations. But I try to ensure what I encourage them to do is ask questions, right? Ask as many questions. There's no stupid questions, be as inquisitive and have as many questions as you want because that's part of the learning process, right? So yeah, like within the shelter, within the kitchen, it's more like prep, serving and things like that. And the reason why I include that because it's a big part of what we do, feeding people, right? And so they also I try to get them to go in the coffee service. So that's more direct. You're serving the coffee, which is usually what the shelter staff do. So that's one thing for the meal center. It's not as for someone who is doing community service work or things like that, it's not as direct linked, but it's part of the process, right? But within the shelter, they get to kind of shadow the shelter staff. So whatever task the shelter staff feels comfortable giving them, they can, like, because some people are more comfortable within their practicum, are more hands-on and get to do a lot more things. But also it's also an opportunity for them, and which I say to all my volunteers, to talk with the guests, right? Interact with them more directly while servicing them, right? Obviously, you don't share personal information, but getting to hear their stories will allow you to prepare for, if you're in this field, how to interact with guests that you're going to come in contact with, right? And kind of recognizing, hey, this is someone's mother, this is someone's brother, someone, humanizing them as well. So that kind of helps you to be better at whatever it is that you end up doing within the field. Just know that there are challenges.
True. Yes.
That's the first thing. Like, you get cussed out. Sorry, you can edit that. People say unkind things to you, right? But at the end of the day, there are a lot more people that are appreciative. So whatever you choose to do, it does make a difference, right?
Exactly.
And you do have an impact, right? And just showing someone that they matter, just even saying hi, that all of those things matter. And it's not just a task that you're doing, but it's also the obviously professional relationship you build with the clients as well, and you get to know them and care for them and want the best for them as well. So it can be rewarding, but it does come with challenges.
That's what I was going to ask, if it's a rewarding field. You would say that
it is very rewarding. It's there's some, and especially within our transitional housing, because these are people generally that, if they had struggled with drug addiction, have come out on the other side, but now they have to reestablish their lives, right? So we've had people, what we say, graduate from the program, because it's a program, it's not just housing. We work on helping you to be able to live your best life once you are outside of Gateway. And people have gone back to school, they've gotten jobs, they've gotten permanent housing, which is always the goal. But they also develop skills that they are now working with our partners, and we get to see them just live their life successfully.
That's great.
So it's awesome to see people. Nobody is a lost cause.
No.
Right? Nobody's a lost cause. So, every little help that you can extend within the boundaries set by your facility, obviously, makes a difference, right? Like, they come through me and I develop a relationship with them from actually a lot of our practicum students get hired.
Awesome.
Yeah, like, I would say a lot. They get casual, and some of them are even permanent staff. So I've gotten to see that process. Like, one of our main staff that works in the shelter, I was with him from the process when he started with us, to getting hired, to getting a permanent position with us, and just seeing him grow in his role as a shelter staff member has been amazing. I think I haven't had any issues with any of the students you've sent. They've always been hardworking, just go-getter, and determined to kind of learn as much, even in the mundane things as peeling potatoes while they're in there doing their time in the meal center. The cooks always love them, right? I haven't had any issues. So I always recommend, when I'm like, apply, we're always hiring, because you have to start off, right? And so they usually get interviews, because I pass them on to our resident services manager, and we'll see where it fits. Sometimes it doesn't, but so far your students have always kind of come prepared with a great attitude and ready and willing to work and learn what they need to learn, and inquiring minds, right? Asking the right questions, and just ready to kind of get involved and you know, not worried about getting their hands dirty. So, and that's an important part, right? Like for volunteers, is that you just have to be willing to kind of do what needs to be done, right? So I think so far, I would say I haven't had any issues with any of your students that have come our way. Because they've shown, like, as if someone shows themselves that they are kind of willing to kind of learn and grow and just help and pitch in, and be teachable, that's all that we can ask for. So any student that comes to us that has that mentality and there's a position available, we'll give them the opportunity to interview for it, right? And working as a practicum student, you are able to showcase what you have to offer is already, right? So yeah, for sure. Like the social services field is something that is needed.
True.
Right. Unfortunately, the way our society is, we have a lot of people that are hurting, that are in need of support. So if this is a field that you choose to go into, know it's worth it. It is rewarding. It does come with challenges, but you do make a difference. And I see it every day, right? Just even offering a meal or a coffee, knowing, like, even for a shelter staff, for example, knowing what someone likes in their coffee, like double, they'll like double. Like that makes an impact. It's something rewarding for them because they know that they're seen. Hey, this person knows what I like in my coffee.
True.
Right? I'm not invisible, I matter. And that is what can make a difference in someone choosing to get healthy, right? Choosing to go and get help when they need it. So that is what I would say.